Blog Talk Radio.
Hi, and welcome to Conscious Talk Radio, and I'm your host, Linda Sullivan. We've got a wonderful show for you today. Our topic is Sell with Style with Nathalie Chapron. And before we bring Nathalie on board, I'd like to give you a little bit of information about her. Nathalie believes style is an inside job, started at the soul or essence level. She is passionate about helping conscious women entrepreneurs look and feel their best by aligning their inner and outer beauty. Her clients feel better in their own skin and notice a huge increase in their financial results. Jen August said, after working with Nathalie, my business soared into six-figure realm. Nathalie, one of very few image consultants worldwide with access to over 30,000 colors in her studio, has a 5-month waiting list to work with her privately. She is sought after by top speakers and entrepreneurs who are energetically sensitive because she gets impressive results in a loving, gentle, and compassionate manner. Some of her private clients include Callan Rush with Well Through Workshop, Justin Livingston, The Leap, Christian Nicholson, Jenna Cabellini, Tina Forsythe, Eva Gregory, and Shannon Law, just to name a few. Born and raised in France, she now lives in the South San Francisco Bay Area with her husband and toddler son. One of the things she loves the most is taking women shopping in Paris and doing divine feminine retreats in a castle in the south of France. And with that, I'd love to welcome Nathalie to the show. Hi, Nathalie.
Hi, Linda. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, and I'm just so excited to have you here. And like retreats in a castle, who doesn't dream of being in a castle and doing a divine feminine retreat? I mean, how in Paris? Wow. Like the couture and all the latest fashions. And this is, like I said before we talked, this is an exciting conversation for me. And I think what's more even exciting is in the business aspect of it, because that really does play out in your own personal life and everything you do.
Oh, absolutely. And, you know, it's really easy to think, it's so frivolous or it's so superficial to think about what we're wearing and paying too much attention to our image. And the truth is, when we think of our image in a way that in the framework that I talk about and under the umbrella of self-reference beauty, which I teach and I'm happy to go more into, it's the opposite of frivolous. It's actually so profound and it's so beautiful, because my belief is that beauty is every woman's birthright.
Yeah, absolutely.
And and so it's like, well, of course, when we can actually learn tools and understand concepts that make us not only look more beautiful, but feel more beautiful and feel more confident, it really transpires and transforms all aspects of our lives, including our financial reality. So it's a beautiful, pursuit.
Well, and what I think is also amazing, as you had mentioned in some of the information I've seen around, that it's really for anyone of any size, shape, doesn't matter. So that's the beauty, because people think, oh, gosh, I have to be thin or I have to be a certain, look or whatever. And it really doesn't, that's not what you're saying. It's really because the beauty is within someone.
Well, exactly. I'm so glad you said that, because it is such a trap to think if we're not, young and thin anymore, or if we never have been, thin, that we're doomed and we're never going to be beautiful. The truth is, every woman has a very unique flavor of beauty, and understanding what that is for you, what are your colors, what are your shapes, what is your silhouette, what are your proportions. Like, you are made of sacred geometry.
Right.
And every woman is, right? And so when we actually understand what that is for us, no matter how old we are, no matter what size we are, no matter what color of skin or whatever, every woman has her own unique flavor of beauty. So understanding what that is and understanding how to highlight and enhance and reflect and mirror what that beauty is truly magical and beautiful. And it's really about embracing who we are on a deep level and make the best of it. So it's a deep act of self-love.
Very much so. So let me ask you, you mentioned about there's 3 dangerous image mistakes that conscious female entrepreneurs make that sabotage sales and kill credibility. Can we talk about what are those 3 dangerous, and they're just only 3? I mean, or could there be more, or is it just 3 that you have found in your work working with female entrepreneurs?
Well, that's such a great question. There's a number of mistakes we can make as women, as we're building our business and fumbling through life and doing the things that we do. There's lots of mistakes, but I found 3 that are really, really non-forgiving. And so I want to share a quick story about my journey and how I've kind of discovered this, and it's very telling. You'll see. So as you mentioned, Linda, my life is pretty amazing now. I mean, I do take women shopping in Paris, and we go to a castle in the south of France. I work with some incredible people, luminaries in our space. I also work with women who are just starting out, and I love that too. But I love my clients. I attract incredible people. I have a long wait list, as you've mentioned. I've more financial success in my business than I even thought was possible. I've been doing this business for 3 years now, and I was at close to $500,000 last year in revenue. So it's just, it's really powerful, but it wasn't always this way for me. And the contrast is stark. So like a few years ago, I was doing some coaching. And I was good at what I was doing, but I was having a hard time getting clients, and my financial struggles were so bad that at one point when my car broke down, I didn't have the money to fix it. So I had to start biking around, and that was just not fun or practical or glamorous, to say the least. And I kept thinking, okay, well, I just need more training. So I kept investing in various courses, like sales and marketing. I was like, okay, if I learn this, then maybe that's my answer. Or other coaching and training programs. I would go to live events, and I would go to networking events, and I was thinking, okay, this is my answer. And nothing was working. And I kept struggling financially until one day I was in one of the trainings, and we did an assessment. So we were in a small group of 4 people, and one by one we were to stand in front of the 3 other people, and they would assess us on our image. They would look at us, and they would look at what we were wearing, and then they would give us the results. And based on what they saw, they would give us, okay, well, this is how much I'd be willing to pay you per hour.
Really? Oh,
so
my gosh.
Yeah, so it's like, can you imagine? Very uncomfortable, but hey, in order to grow, you got to stand in the fire. So it's my turn. I stand in front of it. It was very uncomfortable, and the results come in, and they say to me, well, based on what you are wearing and how you're showing up, how you're holding yourself, all that, we would be comfortable paying you $25 to $35 an hour.
Wow.
Now, at that point, I was already charging $100 to $150 an hour for my coaching service. So there was a huge disconnect between my perceived value and what I was actually charging. And I want to say that it wasn't like I was wearing yoga pants and tennis shoes. I mean, I was wearing a brown linen skirt suit. And I had flat shoes on that were, so that I knew the shoes, that was a problem, but I was in a, seminar all day, and I wanted to be comfortable. And so here I was. And so, but most importantly, I wasn't dressed in my essence. Like I wasn't, like it was an appropriate kind of business choice to be in a business environment, right? But it was really not in alignment who I am.
Right.
And so that was a huge disconnect. And when I found that out, Linda, I realized that nothing else I did in my business would matter until my perceived value matched what I was asking people to give me financially, what I was asking people to invest with me for my services. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely. Of course, your perceived value, and then, of course, dressing in your essence, which is so, it's huge because, like you said, you think we go to a business workshop, we're going to be comfortable, we're going to, in all aspects with our clothing and things like that. But when you think about it, when you're in a sales and marketing workshop, that's where you would think that you would dress for that. But what I hear you saying, it's just not dressing just for that. This is like really bringing your essence out in whether you're going out or whether you're in a marketing place, a workshop, it doesn't matter. That's what I hear you saying.
Exactly. You got it. That's exactly right. Because just doing something like going for a, skirt business suit that was in my hair related color. So, like it was quote inappropriate. Like, it wasn't like I was just grunting or anything, but it just wasn't like the alignment wasn't there. And so, of course, when I wasn't showing up powerfully, I wasn't showing up confident because it just didn't really feel like me in a way.
Right.
So it was like it was me trying too hard. And so, so that was a turning point for me. I realized, okay, well, I've got to fix this. And so I invested in working with someone who does the work that I now do. And I got my colors analyzed. And I don't mean like color me beautiful, pick a few drapes and figure out what your seasonal essence is, like, oh, you're a winter, here's your pan. This is like a very high level type of color analysis. There's 9 different levels. And it's, we work with lots of colors. So it's a very, very precise analysis, which then, of course, gives you the best results. So I did that. I did my style analysis, and then I went shopping. And that was a turning point because from that moment forward, every time I go to build my business, people always assume I'm the speaker. I mean, I got I think close to 30 speaking gigs last year, and I didn't seek any of them out. People come to me and say, hey, can you come speak on my stage? Hey, I want to interview you for my list. Or, it's incredible because I now embody my essence and people recognize it and they're like, wow. And so the power of that.
Yes.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, yes, absolutely. The power.
It changes the dynamic. It changes the power dynamic because as opposed to going out and kind of seeking the client or seeking the opportunity, it's an outward thing. But now, and you know how that can be frustrating when you're building your business, when you're like chasing after clients or chasing after opportunities, it's exhausting and it doesn't feel good. Right? So this way, with this work, with the embodiment of your essence, like you at your best, it turns the dynamic around so that opportunities and clients are drawn to you. So everything becomes easier and you make more money and you have more clients and you have more opportunities, but from a place of like really just being who you are. It's so beautiful.
Well, and what I find is interesting too, because I was drawn to you really for the fashion aspect. It was a lot of things other than that as well, right? So what I noticed for myself is the people who I'm drawn to, or whatever that is, it's the fashion, are things that are important to me. Music, art, beauty, sensuality, all of that I'm drawn to because that's all aspects of myself. And so I found that really, when you really dive into what you're helping women do is finding their essence at a very deep level and bringing that forth, that if they start noticing who they're drawn to, and that it kind of really brings out those pieces and aspects of yourself. You're like, oh, wow, interesting. I didn't really know that, Well, I mean, I knew it, but I really didn't. So I love that.
Right.
So
exactly. And what's really cool is that then, yes, I bring it into the fashion realm because and I call it, so fashion, I call it style because it's more like, but it doesn't matter. These are just semantics. But I bring it into what we actually, as women, adorn ourselves with. The clothes, the accessories, the jewelry, the makeup, like how we do our hair, all of this. Because when you start at the essence level and you're really clear about who you are and what your I call this, your design blueprint, like what Mother Nature gave you at birth, what colors, what shapes, what textures, what silhouettes, what geometrical pattern, like all that makes you in visual form. I take that and I mirror that out into your outfit and how you're putting yourself together. So the alignment that is created is so congruent with who you are internally at your deepest core and what people are seeing that it's super magnetic.
Mm-hmm.
Can you see that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And that's why it's really fun. And, and from a practical level, well, when you have those colors, you know that you're going to look great in all of those no matter what, and then and then you just get to use them strategically for different psychological effects, right? So it's pretty powerful. Mm-hmm.
And I think your passion. You have a lot of passion. So, I mean, when you decide to do this for yourself, then it just really all that whatever that is your gift, right, started to surface and just really became so well known that it's easy for you because this is who you are and what you're able to help with other people.
That's right. Yeah, I mean, it truly is a way of life for me and a passion, and that's what people reflect to me all the time. They're like, I know a lot of image consultants, but I never felt called to work with any of them until I met you because you really live your message and you embody it, and it's not it's not a job for you. It's really a passion, and it really is true. I do believe in my work with every fiber of my being. I wasn't planning on doing this work, My background was in holistic health, but when I received the work, I was like, oh my God, that is a missing link for so many women because we make ourselves wrong. We think, oh, if we have straight hair, we want curly hair, or if we have, blue eyes, we'd like to have, green, or whatever the case may be. If we're tall, we want to be short. And we're always constantly comparing ourselves and making ourselves wrong for what we have. But with this work, it's like embracing what is and making the best of it. It's like the amount of energy and self-love that is released is just like, oh. And so I felt like after I did this work, I felt like for the first time I could actually love and accept myself the way that I am.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's incredible. So do you help people on that? So because it sounds like it goes kind of deep. You're not only finding their divine, their essence at a soul level. So there must be something in there when you work with people as well to help them to love themselves. And I think that's with all your work that you're doing as well, that would kind of surface because of, having them look at the colors and then seeing the before and after. I'm not really sure. Would that be something that you add in?
Yeah, it actually kind of just naturally happens because, first of all, to have someone see you so deeply, to let yourself be seen so deeply is it's confronting. A lot of people cry just from the sheer kind of like emotions that surface when as women it doesn't always feel safe to be seen. And I go so deep in seeing the person but with so much love, right? And so they feel the love and they're like, oh my God. So that in and of itself, the act of me seeing them is super healing. And then when I give them the colors and the styles and the shapes and, I work with 8 principles of design and I just give them the tools and then they get to see the tools and they get to actually work with the tools. The self-love kind of happens. And sometimes it's a process, sometimes it just takes a little longer than others because there's colors that people just haven't met yet or are not used to. And so it's like or from a seasonal essence perspective, it's the same that we do all the time. Like we have a certain seasonal essence and we want to be a different one, or we have certain colors, but we really want different colors. And so it's a process. But it's a beautiful one. And, so that was, tying it back in to the mistake. I think that was the first mistake, is really not understanding kind of like what do I want to call this? The impact of our visual presentation. It's really the first mistake that women make. It's like we think, well, we don't know. Like, until I have this assessment where they give me $25 to $35 an hour, I didn't realize that was my perceived value.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the first mistake. So understanding that there might be a disconnect between what we think is our perceived value and what people actually perceive is a big step.
Mhm. Absolutely.
And I want to give a tool. I'd like to teach a scale that I teach all my clients that I think would be really valuable for the listeners, Linda. Would that be okay?
Absolutely. Yes, please do.
Okay. So there is a scale which I call the A through F scale. So A stands for approachable, and I'll explain what that means in a moment. And then F stands for formal. So approachable, what I mean by approachable is if you think of Mrs. Santa Claus. Can you think of Mrs. Santa Claus in your mind? Mm-hmm. And think of how approachable she is, very jovial, very sweet, rounded cheeks, energetically just very welcoming and just very, very sweet. So she would be the extreme of approachable.
Mm-hmm.
On the other extreme, on the F side, we have formal, and here we have Cruella de Vil or Dracula for the men, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that is way more off-putting. So that the energetically, Cruella de Vil is, we don't want to be near her. We don't have respect for her and what she does. And she's just like, her energy is really intense. From a visual perspective, she has high contrast, angular features. She's just not welcoming at all. So she's formal. Mm-hmm. So every one of us is on the scale between A and F. Just naturally. Mm-hmm. Okay, between our energy, how we show up, our visual design. Some of us have, round faces with round features. Some of us have long, angular features. Do you know what I'm saying? So it just naturally who we are. We fall on the scale. We fall on the scale somewhere.
Wow.
And what happens? So it's really cool to know, right? I mean, can you see how that would be true?
Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's incredible. Mm-hmm.
And so why I share this with you is because and I see this a lot in the conscious entrepreneur space with women, a lot of women fall more on the approachable side. Just from who they are, they're givers, they're generous, they're heart-based, they want to help, and from a visual perspective, they love the flowy, goddessy kind of clothing, and I just see that a lot. So the problem with being on the approachable side is that people will like you, they'll want to hang out with you, they'll want to soak up free advice from you, they'll just want to be in your field, but they won't necessarily see you as a credible expert that they want to hire.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. Huh.
So that's a disconnect, right? Because you want people to of course like you and be around you, but it's nice to give free advice, but we need to get paid for our services, right?
Right.
So
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to say, so what would one do then if they're in that approachable space, which you were going to actually sound like you were going to tell us what that
I have some tips. Exactly. So if you're more on the approachable side, there's a few tips I want to give you. Number one, so the thing that we want to do is we want to bring you closer so you really have one foot in being approachable and one foot in being formal because you want to be seen as a credible expert. Okay, so you need to have both. So what you can do is, number one, instead of wearing rounded toe shoes or sandals, favor pointy shoes, pumps that have a pointy toe.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't have to be a high heel. It doesn't have to be high. It could be a kitten heel, or if you can't wear heels, you can do a flat. but it's really important to have a point because a point is way more commanding.
Which makes sense.
Than a rounded toe. Can you see that? And then what happens is you're going to carry yourself differently, and people will perceive you differently. I get people, really... I share this. Yeah. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, that's so true.
Yeah, right. I mean, it's like a simple thing. And, some people, usually I share this because I speak a lot and I share this, people sometimes they're like, well, I don't like pointed toes and why would that even matter? And I say, well, just give it a shot. Just try it out. And I often get testimony, people emailing me back afterwards and be like, I can't believe, I tried it on and they really see a shift. They see a difference. So if you're listening, just give it a shot. Just try a pair and see how you carry yourself and see how people respond to you. It's quite amazing, especially if you're speaking on stages.
Yeah, it's very different. Yeah, I can attest to that. It is a different feel for sure.
So that's one tip. The other tip to bring yourself closer to the middle is instead of wearing light colors, which light colors are much more approachable and even casual, it's better to favor dark neutrals when you're speaking, or it's way more commanding and it just has more formality. So it just helps. It really helps with the credibility. So, navy blue, forest green, eggplant, charcoal, those colors.
Yeah, you'd want something to be kind of fun at the same time.
Say again?
You'd want something to be kind of fun at the same time. You know what I mean? That's
that's for the background. Yeah, that's for that's for the background. Like if you're wearing, and even wearing, I wear a navy dress often when I speak. I'm very, very approachable just by nature, and that's been my journey of, not giving everything away for free all the time. So I speak a lot in a navy dress. I have a beautiful Ted Baker. It has a couple rose. It's like a peplum navy dress with rose gold. It has a zipper. It's beautiful and it has a little feminine flair. It's not just like blah. And you can accessorize, of course. But it's nice to have the dark neutral as it's very supportive in terms of credibility. So that's another tip. And then the last tip I want to give is, if you like flowy fabrics, like flowy garments that really move a lot with your body, just understand that I love flowy fabrics as well, but when I speak and when I'm building my business, I usually have a little more structure in the clothes that I wear, because they're just more, when it's streamlined and the lines are simpler and straighter, it conveys more credibility. So that's another thing to keep in mind.
Which would make sense as well, absolutely. Visually, if I'm looking at someone visually, that's definitely true, yeah.
Exactly. So those are 3 tips. Now, if someone is on the formal side, I also want to give them a few tips because, hey, they need to be, on the formal side, the problem is that people might see you as a credible expert, but for them, they may not feel a connection with you. And of course, do you want to ever hire someone like as a coach or a mentor or a practitioner that you don't feel a connection with, Linda?
No, not at all.
No, exactly. So, we have to have both. So if you're more on the formal side, then what we need to do is bring you closer to the middle and bring some elements that make you a little bit more approachable. And we do that, instead of pointy shoes, we would do rounded toe. We do the opposite. Instead of more structure in the fabric, we add a little more flow. So, for example, a silk blouse would be great on the top. And in terms of color, if the dark neutrals are more formal, then we want to bring in a lighter color. And here I want to teach a really great tip. a color that's very beautiful and very just you're gonna love wearing it. It's such a beautiful color, and it's feminine and approachable. Is your blush tone color of when you blush?
Yes.
And you get colors in your cheeks.
Mhm.
That's a fantastic color for you to wear.
Well, I love that.
And if someone yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say it because sometimes people who have very dark skin or dark skin can't see their blush tone, so I wanted to give them a tip. If you have dark skin and you know when you blush you can't see a color differentiation, what you want to do is you want to press the tip of your pinky finger with the other hand, between your index and your thumb. You're going to press the tip, and you're going to see that when the blood flow stops, you're going to see that the tip of your pinky is becoming a darker color.
Oh, yeah.
And can you see that?
Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah,
I love
so that color, if you go darker in that color, that's going to be your related red. And if you go that color or lighter, that's going to be your blush tone.
Awesome. Those are great tips. But we're out of time, and so we didn't get to reference beauty. I know, we didn't get to color you to the voice or the thing you must do to attract clients, but we got some great tips. So anyone that's listening, you need to contact Nathalie, and I will have all her information on the video. So there's so much information that she has that we could, a half an hour is not enough time, but we got some great tips. I mean, really, these are great tips that I would never even thought of. And just, going into your dressing, finding people and dressing them in their essence and your story, it's so powerful. And I really want to thank you on the show, and really your gift of what you're doing to humanity and helping women and men as well. I'm sure you're working with them as well.
I do. So, I work with men privately. Mm-hmm.
Yes, yeah. So thank you so much. We really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, Linda, and for the amazing work that you're doing in the world. I love what you're up to and what you share. And then I want to really acknowledge every one of you listening. If you're listening to this show, just congratulations for the amazing work that you're doing in the world. You're, becoming a better person every day. And yeah, it's just I'm very honored to be here and sharing a little bit of my wisdom with you today.
Thank you so much. And you can reach Nathalie at youshineonstage.com, or her email address is info@chapron, CHAPRON.com. And we will have all that information on the video. So we want to thank all the listeners out there who joined us today and the ones who will join us via YouTube. We thank you so much. Please don't forget to follow, subscribe, comment, and like us. And you can join me next Thursday, January 21st, for the next show, The Power of Alignment with Robin Chellis. So again, Nathalie, thank you so much. Wonderful tips. Amazing. I love it. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I just want to say it's youshineonstage.com, and then the email is info@NathalieChapron.com. Just a quick little. Okay. Yeah, NathalieChapron.com. Yeah. Thank you, Linda, so much.
Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye.